Pennsylvania's special election too close to call. Updated at 1 a.m. ET on March 14, 2018. Votes are still being tallied in Tuesday's special election in Pennsylvania's 18th congressional district, and it appears nearly every single one will need to be counted. The race between Republican Rick Sacconi and Democrat Conor Lamb is down to the wire for the seat deep in Trump country, with confidence at Lamb's campaign early in the night giving way to supporters holding their collective breath as the results tighten to a near tie through the evening. With all precincts reporting, the Associated Press says that the race is too close to call, with Lamb ahead of Sacconi by just 579 votes. The outcome appears as though it will be decided by outstanding absentee ballots. But Lamb and National Democrats declared victory anyway, given that Sacconi needed to win a huge percentage of those absentees to close the gap. It took a little longer than we thought, but we did it, Lamb told a roaring crowd at his election watch party at nearly 1 a.m. Wednesday morning. Introduced as Congressman-elect, the Democrat struck a conciliatory tone and promised bipartisanship once he heads to D.C. "We fought to find common ground and we found it, almost everywhere. Democrats, Republicans, independents, each of us, Americans. Our job in Congress is to attack the problems, not each other," Lamb said. But just before midnight, Sacconi had come out to speak to his supporters, expressing confidence that they could still win. "It's not over yet," the GOP nominee said. "We're going to fight all the way to the end, we're not giving up." Just minutes later, after Sacconi finished speaking, the Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee blasted out a statement declaring Lamb the victor, despite the fact that the AP said they would not call the race Tuesday evening. These results should terrify Republicans, candidates and message matter, and that was on full display in this election, DCCC Chairman Ben Ray Lujan said. Meanwhile, the National Republican Congressional Committee signaled they are still waiting on all remaining ballots to be counted. "This race is too close to call and we're ready to ensure that every legal vote is counted," said NRCC Communications Director Matt Gorman. "Once they are, we're confident Rick Sacconi will be the newest Republican member of Congress." Allegheny County counted their absentee ballots Tuesday evening. The elections director for Washington County told CNN that they had 1,195 absentee ballots returned, which they initially said would not be counted until Wednesday morning, but the county later reversed course and said they would begin counting them late Tuesday evening into the wee morning hours. And officials from Westmoreland County also told CNN that the 1,138 absentee ballots would be counted shortly as well, instead of on Wednesday morning. Even with such a photo finish, there is no provision for an automatic recount in a congressional race, only in statewide contests, per Pennsylvania election law. Voters can petition for a recount, however. President Trump won this Pittsburgh area district by about 20 points in 2016, but it's Lamb who has run a high-energy race to challenge Sacconi, after Representative Tim Murphy, RPA, resigned last year amid a sex scandal. Republicans have privately grumbled that their candidate has been lackluster, and the Democrat could be poised to pull off the upset. Polls closed at 8 p.m. ET. If Lamb does eke out the win, it would be the latest sign of worry yet for Republicans this fall. It's evidence of just how motivated Democrats are in 2018 and shows that the blue-collar coalition President Trump was able to build in the 2016 campaign is not necessarily transferable to other Republicans. While the close margin may give some solace to wary GOP members, it's still another example of Republican candidates way underperforming not just Trump's 2016 numbers, but the past performance of the district, too. Murphy routinely won re-election and didn't even face a Democratic challenger the past 2 cycles. Other special congressional elections last year in deep red territory in Kansas, Montana, and South Carolina also ended much closer than expected. If Republicans do lose the seat, the fact they were unsuccessful also shows that the GOP's economic argument to voters and touting its tax cuts may not be enough to save the party at the ballot box, either. While early ads in Pennsylvania focused on a fiscal message, closing arguments from Republican outside groups hit Lamb on immigration and crime instead. Trump visited the district for a rally on Saturday as a last-ditch rescue mission, where he asked his supporters, "Do me a favor. Get out on Tuesday and vote for Rick Saccone." Trump also referred to the Democrat as Lamb the Sham, saying that if elected, Lamb would vote as House Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi wants, even though the candidate has said he would not support keeping her as leader of the Democratic caucus. The president's visit capped off a massive effort by GOP groups to keep the seat in Republican hands. More than $10.6 million has been spent to support Saccone, about twice as much as has been spent for Lamb. That massive expenditure is despite the fact that the district won't even exist in its current form come November because of court-ordered redistricting, underscoring just how desperate Republicans were to avoid an embarrassing loss that would portend a growing blue wave. Lamb had outside support in the final days from former Vice President Joe Biden, a Pennsylvania native. The young former prosecutor and Marine veteran has homed in on local issues and eschewed most national help, and even Republicans concede he has been an unusually tough candidate. If Saccone does win, President Trump would get credit for juicing Republican turnout in the final days. But even if he loses, the president does seem to have moved some election day voters the GOP's way, which Trump will surely seize on as well. Data in the last week of the race backed up assertions from the district that Saccone's fundraising was weak. Of the more than $10 million spent to support his campaign, less than 10% was from the Saccone campaign itself. On the Democratic side, about 2/3 of the money spent to support Lamb came from his campaign.